Camilla, are you here? I saw. Oh, there you are. Sorry. Aaron Abbey. If you can line up, Aaron. Please, yeah. Will you? If you want to, Aaron. Say again? Excellent. Okay.
Mr. Abbey, I go up to you. You better give me something to go up with.
Sorry, there you go. Forgive me. Sorry.
Not a good idea to go empty-handed to this man.
Did Camilla not? Does Camilla not have it? Sorry. No, that's Camilla. Sorry. Yeah, has he not done so? Sorry, folks. I thought that I could do this without practicing it, but it appears not. So, Camilla, you're going to get yours now, yeah? Shavkat Abduvavarov. There's Shavkat coming. John. Mohamed Salah Al-Assay. Boglarka Benko.
My brother.
John, sorry. Casper Bergman. Claudio Berther. Bergdor Gretar Bodvarsson. Kira Carroll. Ngayan Mai Chai. Wendy Kuduti. Is Wendy here? Sarah Carnavale. No, that's Sarah. She's one of ours. She's not. She mustn't be here right now. Sarah, no. Simone Kavanagh. Our Simone. Rania Derbil. Liana Disneladazi. Apologies on your surname, Lanny. I'm sure I didn't get it right. Sev Dizahan Ebova. Horter Orn Estensen. Sedita Fortuz. Sedita, no. Healy Fox. There's it. Salome Gabads. Salome, no. Oh. Me retahab Gebram Eskal. Killian Ginnity. Killian? Soybe Godwin Clark. Gian Maria Greco. Jacqueline Grogan. Is Jackie here? No, don't think so. Nguyen Thi Tu Ha, with apologies to my Vietnamese friends. Gebrahewat Hadush. Emma Hafferty. So, Gata Hazra. Jim Herbert.
United States.
Runar Bjorn Herrera. Cool. Runan's coming to you, so he'll be a minute or two, so we'll proceed with the next one. Alison Hillman is not here. Ishnedes ran hart artotir. Thuto Halele. No? Okay. Fergal Horgan. Jieying Huang. Yovid Ibodov. And Runar again. Sorry, Runar again. Rasmus Isaacson. Oh, sorry. Pia Justison. Pia? No? Must have gone. Patience Kanguma. Ketavan Komeriki. Okay, is he around now?
Very back there in the left.
George Mwika Kayange. Jason King. Megan King. Where's your certificate? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Like she's a bit confused. So
Okay, thank you. Il Neusen. El Neusen. Oh, I know. Oh, lovely. Good, yeah. Shirley Kefelwa Kyoagili. With apologies to Shirley. Elena Kovalenko. You're Icelandic, aren't you? Can you? I need help with this one. Definitely. Have you got a mic? What's his name? Cheers, man. Thanks. Kate Lapham. Phew. Nice and easy. Kate, no. Britta Lisering. Lisering, maybe. Vanessa Macamo. Luca Magri. Kelly Malanga. Leon Marr. No. Oh, we do have Leon. No? Christopher Zira. Donna McNamara. Donna McNamara. Are you here, Donna? No. Innocentia. Christine Miller. Frederick Mzigala. Alban Murici. Alana Murray. Barbara Murray, I think, has left earlier in the week. Albert Taylor Mutale. Patricia Imwanyisa. Is Patricia still here? I don't think so. Lola Nazridinova. Elena Namkina. Ngayan Ti Nga. Ledin Uen Nye. Sam Nirala. Niall O'Bwell. I think Niall has left us maybe already this week. Joan O'Connor. Julie O'Leary. No, Julie gone too. Amelia O'Malley. Ejan Oshak Bayeva, a good Irish name. Soyeon Park. Mina Pudel. Gabor Petrie. Gabor Petrie's not here, is he? Jenny Reinman. Renman, maybe. Renman. Okay, great. Sorry. Katja Reuter. No, Katja. Katja? No. Carrie-Ann Reynolds. Carrie-Ann Reynolds? Actually, Carrie, I think, is left. Malika Sakala. Sarah Sarkos. Maria Laura Sarah. Maria here? Einar Sheknova. Natalia Sophie. Ham Trong Son. Lauren Stewart. Erica Strauss McDonough. Katavan Svanidze. Rachel Tardy. Be Te Hong Van. Or Vicente Vasco. Berit Vegheim. Julia Votslava. No, Julia, no. Kariana Watlington. Linus Yang. Parkat Yusuf Yanov. And lastly, Sara Carnavali. Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to call on Senator John Dolan to say a few words before we wrap up. Don't worry, we're not going to delay you long.
No,
John.
I'm after losing my
Oh, where were they?
Good afternoon. I see my senator colleague has maybe left us, but there is all the great people from Pennsylvania State and the rest of the world, yeah? But I have to say, there's a lot of people here from Vietnam, and where else have I heard loads of people coming from? Iceland is good, but it's a huge, big country. Loads of people live there, you know. Actually, on a population basis, maybe ye win, yeah? Look, I'm very honoured to have the opportunity to say a few words. Gerard had asked me to talk a little bit about how I got into the Senate, which is a story in itself. It's a story that's easier told to an Irish audience. And I will mention a few reflections that I have in terms that might relate to the UN Convention, but we might find another way to, because it is important that people with disabilities and the voice of people with disabilities and their families gets into the heart of the political discourse and parliaments throughout the world. The convention is a magnificent tool. You talk about the paradigm shift, but it's not the destination. It flags the destination. It flags it so well. And the careful thing is to remember that talking about something and promoting something like the convention has to be about what happens in people's daily lives. That people have more choice, more autonomy, more opportunities, and to use a phrase that I've heard Gerard use, the opportunity for people to flourish. And I think it's a lovely phrase, that you can open out, be whatever is in you. We cannot sit back and say we've signed a UN convention, we've ratified a UN convention. We have to keep at it relentlessly. And this is one of the things that has struck me since I became part of the Irish Parliament. There are so many other people and groups, and I don't mean to be competitive about this, that are talking to politicians and that are making their case. You have to be at it every day. So that, I think that is very important. I see there has been, am I right to say that there has been a paradigm shift here in the summer school? My memory was that the barbecue always took place on a Wednesday night. I see this year it has moved up the ranks to Monday night. So I don't know what people did on Wednesday night. Studied, yeah? Ah. Well, look, do you know what? Watching a match, people being happy, being engaged, being won, these things are also important. And for people with disabilities, to use that analogy, to be on the pitch, not to be spectators. That is what, in another way, the convention is all about. You are a player, you're not sitting watching. And everybody has a part to play. In getting into our Senate, the one thing that clustered everything was the UN Convention. The idea that there is one simple thing that everything is attracted around. It's the North Star. That only works, I think, for people in the Northern Hemisphere. Is that right? So maybe I'm wrong about that. But you know the point I'm making. There is something that everybody can work towards. And just to give you an example, this week in the Senate, I was able to ask a minister that's in the government who has recently been appointed because of work that my own organisation and others have done. He is there because we campaigned to have somebody at the cabinet whose sole remit is to watch the disability interest across the whole political spectrum, right? So that it doesn't get pigeonholed into one area like health or whatever. And I was able to ask him a question with a few parts to it. Number one, that the commitment to ratify the UN Convention here in Ireland will still be done before the end of this year. That work is going on every day on the raft of legal areas that need to be dealt with. And then the other question was that for next year's funding, for next year's budget in Ireland, that each public department is looking at the disability interest in their department. So that was a simple way when you're in there to kind of say, look, it's very simple. Are you getting on with ratifying it, and is it going to then move into very practical things? People's incomes, people's housing, people's opportunities for jobs and whatever. So, the only other thing I'd say about my experience in the Senate, and we can talk more fulsomely on another occasion, I was sustained in that campaign by people with disabilities and their families, people I'd never come across before, who just emailed or text or whatever, Twitters and all the rest of it, and would just say, look, this is great, getting somebody in there at the heart of it. And then I go, oh my God, I can't do everything, right? And you ask people why are you going to try and talk to politicians about me? Because you don't always know why people are thinking it's a great idea. And then a woman says to me, well, my husband has such a condition for 10 years and I'm minding him all the time. And I'm going, my God, this woman has time when she's doing all that every day to actually turn to me and say, you know, keep it going, get in there. So it is the support of other people who have so much more to be doing and trying to live with and deal with that actually keep the thing going. The UNCRPD, no, I'll mention, I'll just go, yeah, I will. The UNCRPD, all your articles, optional protocol and all the rest of it, and you're all experts in that at the end of the week. For politicians and people who are busy, it's very difficult to land that in front of them and say that's what it's about. I think we have to do a lot of work to break it down to its very, without being unfair to the work that went into it, to break it down and try and make it manageable in the first conversation, yeah, the early conversation, to make it manageable. One of the things that the Disability Federation of Ireland did in our work to influence the general election was to run a campaign, and that for the first time we went and we got professional organisations to look at how the public think and feel about disability. And we got some nasty surprises in that. One of them, I'll tell you, is they thought the idea of personal assistance was just for the birds, was peripheral. They thought the idea of carers was absolutely spot on. So it's where people begin their thinking and their feelings about something is where we have to be smarter at engaging people. Yeah? And that came as a revelation to us. But what did strike them was when some scenarios were put to them, one in particular, that a young man or woman or whatever in a wheelchair has to give 24 hours notice before they can use some public transport. And still, even doing that, you might get from Galway to Dublin, but on the way back, a piece of the jigsaw might be missing. That appalled them. They got that, right? So we have to get cleverer and more thoughtful about how you start the conversation with people. So we then designed a campaign which was about the idea of disabling inequality, decommissioning, breaking down inequalities, and putting up some of these pictures around that. So there is an important message for us in how we communicate, and when, and these are my thoughts on it, when we actually then make a judgment when you start talking about the legal aspects, the UN Convention, it's not about not using these things, but it's about bringing them into the narrative and the discussion at the time that you judge it can be best heard. And I think that's a skill that we have to just work at and trust our own developing judgment about it. There is so much political consciousness in Ireland about disability in all its facets. And yet, we can't actually turn that, we can't get the big bang impact from that. It's like you're putting a lot of fuel into a vehicle that's inefficient. How do we translate the real goodwill across all the parties and entities to doing the right thing for people with disabilities into effective responses? I'm seeing that now more clearly than ever as a big issue. I think there's an issue still. I believe there is an issue about the real understanding, the scope or the understanding of the humanity of people with disabilities. I think that's an issue not just in Ireland, I think it's an issue all over the world. It's very potent in some countries, clearly, yeah. And I would offer this point. The Nazis found it very easy to dehumanize disabled people. They had to spend a decade stripping people who were Jewish of their humanity, bit by bit, excluding them bit by bit. You can't be part of the judiciary, you can't own businesses, you can't do this, you can't sit on that park bench. They didn't have to do that to be able to exterminate people with disabilities. That's a stark example. At the other end of that spectrum is a simple thing like, well, you know, wouldn't it be great if he could just get this job? Yeah? Or could just get to that school. That the expectation is not the same as for other people. That's at a more benign, if you like, level. That whole area of not appreciating and valuing the humanity of a person, a human being that has a disability. So these are the issues that I think confront us. I want to finish up with what is a personal reflection. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to do this here. I am conscious that we're in a very privileged position in Ireland. We complain that we haven't the UN Convention ratified. And we annoy our politicians about it. And we're right that it has taken way longer than it should have. But I am very conscious that there are people here who come from parts of the world where they would absolutely love to have the position that we're in Ireland. And I think speaking to Irish people here, we have to appreciate the fact that we enjoy much better reflection of human rights than our brothers and sisters do around the world. We've had the notion of nationhood and national states around the globe for the last couple of 100 years, the idea of a spatial equality, that in this place in the world everyone is treated equally. But when you take that away and when you look at the area of disability, what's the difference between us, whether we're Irish, Italian, from Mozambique, from India, from Nepal? There is no difference, and we innately understand the struggles, the hopes, the dare to hopes that families and people have in these places. Yeah? We are, it's another kind of world entity that is not a geographical space. I think that's something really worth thinking about. When we hear of countries where there are difficulties in terms of civil society space, or whether it is absolute trauma and killing and all the rest of it, you very quickly will think, my God, how is that for people with disabilities, chronic illnesses, whatever? Yeah? They're not different people. So we are part of, and think about this, it's a very hopeful thing. We are part of, this is a movement that is part of making the world wholesome. Because we have found a platform, we are a platform that knows no political boundaries or state boundaries. Yeah? Our hopes, our struggles, our fears are the same, in a sense, around the world. Okay, some of us are more advantaged than others, that is fair to say. I want to mention two people, and then I'll come to a conclusion. And what these two people, one thing they have in common is they both have the same date of death, but on different years. Yeah? On the 12th of May, 1916, and this refers to, and I won't go into it, our own struggle for independence here, one of the people that was executed as a result of that rebellion was a man named James Connolly. And he was executed on the 12th of May, 1916. That's just 100 years ago. But on the 12th of May, 2013, a young man named Donald Walsh died. He was in his teens. He was a young man from south of here, a place called Kerry. He had been diagnosed with a terminal, I think it was a cancer. He had so many years to live. And one of the issues that we had then and still have in Ireland is young people, not just young people, but certainly young people taking their own lives. The thought that you consider your life not worth living when you're young is a frightening thing. So this young man was told his clock was ticking down. He was not going to see 20. And he resolved to actually go into schools, go around to schools, to talk on the radio, whatever, about the value of life. He had an impact. You bet he had an impact with his peers. Connolly, the night before he was to be executed, his wife was brought to see him, and he said, "Lily, you know what this means. I'm to be shot in the morning." And of course she broke down and she said, "Oh, James, your beautiful life." And he said, wasn't it a good life, and isn't this a good end? My point about the two of these is they managed to weave something that we all know is going to happen, that we will finish, yeah, here, into how they live their lives. Some of us think we have a great life because we have careers and we can get on and we can earn things and we can blah, 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 right? Be successful. But when you melt it back down, all you actually have is the value of what you do and make with your life. And that's equally valuable whether you're a prince or a pauper. In fact, it might be better if you're a pauper in some ways. The values that people have and the way we live, or try, put it like that, the way we try and live our lives. And I suppose that's my way of, if you like, trying to bring a reflection of hope. It's easy to be hopeful. I was going to say when your team is 2-0 up and there's only 5 minutes to go, yeah? But how to be hopeful in situations of risk and adversity. That's the real bedrock of hope. To live a life of hope where things are not easy, where there are many obstacles. I mentioned two people most of you have never heard of. But many of us will remember people very close to us. Maybe it was other people with disabilities that have gone before us. Our parents, our mothers often, who would have been rightly said of them, they gave their life for their children. Yeah? Not in any glamorous way, but every day, struggling. So that, I think, I would hope that's of some help to people as you travel back. We are a community, in a sense, now after a week. Some of you have met and will meet again. But we are a community, and I think we have to be a community of hope. And use the different tools and skills and our own value systems that are universal. I have said, I'll leave it at this, I have said over and over that, and people like Gerard and others who were involved in crafting the convention might step back from this and say, you know what, the UN Convention was an admission of a 60-year failure. And I say it like this, that's an unfair comment, but just to try and get a bit of attention. And Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 says people have to be respected, they have their dignity, they have their rights. Why? Because they're from Pennsylvania, Georgia? No. Iceland? No. Because they're simple human beings. There it is. Think now how it takes 60 years, almost 58 years, and we have to craft a convention. And thankfully, Gerard and so many others from around the world worked on that, to actually say, do you know what? You've spent 6 decades, all the nations of the state that signed that convention or treaty, and you haven't really figured out that disabled people are people. So it's not easy to move our stuff on. I think we do it as a family, we do it with hope. And in a sense, while you look for an outcome, you have to find an inner resource or a strength that's not dependent. You don't go out to contest it, to win it, knowing that it's going to happen. You believe in it. That's your testimony. And I just want to wish you all, as you travel home safely, to simply wish you all hopefulness for the rest of your days. Thank you very much.
Don't worry, I'm only going to keep you 3 minutes. John has been a fabulous advocate outside of our Parliament, and now he's right at the heart of our liberal democracy, so we see it as our job to support John and others like him, and we're really very, very privileged to have him come along this evening. I know you're anxious to go downtown and maybe to some of the pubs. Let me just remind you, O'Noctones is probably the best, but you have to get in there early to have a seat. And your dilemma is the Irish music starts around 9 or 10, but you might not be in a fit state to enjoy the Irish music by the time it comes round. Just beside it is probably the best fish and chip shop, I was going to say on these islands, but certainly in this island. No, it's McDonough's. It's purely Irish. They have their own fishing vessel. It's just fabulous. And if you're here tomorrow morning, we have a beautiful traditional market downtown, which I'd encourage you to go along to. Just a word of explanation on the certificates. We do have certificates for the speakers, Judy, John Wodach, Georgi, Tamuna. They will be sent to you in the mail. I'm sorry that they weren't actually delivered today. They should have been. Let me just make a few words of thanks. I think first of all to Michelle, our captioner, because she's been doing a fantastic job. And we really, really appreciate the Herculean work you've been doing. And also to Cormac of Staunton Media is not here now. And our caterer, Sale Cafe. Is he? Where's Cormac? Ah, there we are. So he's ready for weddings, for you name it. Cormac is out there. Also, our caterer, Sale Cafe and Friars. Let me just say a quick word about the cafe in the foyer. That's a social enterprise staffed by young adults with intellectual disabilities. It's the only one in any Irish university, and we fought hard for it, very hard, but we're also very, very proud of it, and they've a very good track record. Just say a word about our funders, because nothing happens without money, unfortunately. This building is due to Atlantic Philanthropies, which was founded and funded by Chuck Feeney, a great Irish-American billionaire. Every time you go through duty-free, a fraction of a cent goes into his company, and a lot of that then is poured into his foundation. So thanks to Atlantic Philanthropies, but also the Open Society Foundation, who's brought a lot of this together and does so much around the world, particularly in Africa and Latin America. And indeed Irish Aid, who also stumped up some fellowships for us. So a big thanks to our funders. Our staff have been, as usual, tremendous. JB Terrans, Trish Lynch, Meredith Rayleigh, Sinead Keogh, Mary Faherty and Joanna Ford. Thank you. I think it's fair to say Meredith Rayleigh and Trish Lynch have done the heavy lifting, and we have some chocolates for them if they would come down. Can we give them? Our photographer is gone, but you can consider this a magic moment. Thanks very much. We had a little mini army of volunteers, PhD students, postdocs, you name it, visiting researchers. I'll just name them, and apologies if I miss any names. Irina Vincente, Donna McNamara, Simone Kavanagh, Julie O'Leary, Milka Sakala, Emma Burns, Chinbo, Charlotte May Samira, Tirada Sumanan, Abby Rekas, Nina Gorganzi, Moira Jenkins, Vincente Vasco, Yini Rosandati, Rebecca Irvine, Nicola Maxwell, Kerry Ann Reynolds, Maria Niflarta, Emily Loughlin, and Katrina Maloney. Thank you so much. We've had some small delegations from countries like Japan, Kazakhstan, Vietnam. Just love having you here. And we've had some larger delegations from Georgia. My heart is in Tbilisi. I love Georgia. From Iceland. You know, if Iceland beats England and we beat France, we meet Iceland. And one thing you have to know, apparently, is the Icelander Vikings took the Irish women as their slaves, so it'll be our turn to get back Iceland. I joke. And also from the USA. You're so welcome from Penn State and everybody else from the USA. So big and small delegations, so welcome always. And I think a very special thanks to the volunteers who stepped up on the two moot court teams. It takes a lot to step up and to have the courage, the confidence, and the competence to make it wash, so I'd like you to please thank them again. So I always end on a quote for the end of the summer school, and for 2 or 3 years I used to quote from Nicola Machiavelli because I studied him very closely when I was a graduate student. In fact, President of Ireland was my teacher of Niccolo Machiavelli. He also used to teach social deviance. And I do remember after the class, we'd all ask each other, how can we be deviant today? But anyhow, this quote is from Albert Einstein, and I think it sums up the week, which is, learn from yesterday, hope for tomorrow, and never stop questioning. Thank you so much. And have a great